You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
Well, hello, folks. I almost said happy Thursday. That's wishful thinking, though, because it's only Tuesday. This is show 1 for the Jen and Rick Show. We're live right now on KLRNradio.com. It is May. For those of you that are keeping score, I have still yet to see the Avengers. Don't hate me. I've had like 2 flat tires and had to have dental work done. That was like $500-some-odd I wasn't expecting to spend. Yeah, I'm like the worst guy ever when it comes to tires. I had a flat tire I think it was actually last Tuesday. And then I had one again on Sunday. I was like,
oh my gosh.
Are you kidding me? Well, apparently, so what had happened is we got a used tire on Tuesday, right? So they put the used tire on, and everybody knows anymore, used tire shops, they don't balance the tires. So normally when you if you're used to buying new tires, when you put a used tire on, the car runs a little bit different. So I was noticing that it was kind of shimmying a bit when it was getting up to around 55 or 60. And I just assumed that was because, it wasn't terrible. So I just assumed that was because the tire wasn't balanced. So I never really bothered to look at the other rear tire. Turns out the other rear tire, basically, I had an angel on my shoulder because when we pulled it off the other day, it was like it had belt showing in like 4 different places. There was a complete spot in the middle of the tire that had kind of blown itself out, but somehow still managed to hold together. I don't understand how that tire had ran for as long as it did. We got out, apparently it had been messing up for a few days that I didn't realize. We got all the way home from church. My wife and I were going to go run some errands at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. She's like, let's take your car. It has air conditioner. I'm like, cool, it's hot outside. We'll take my car. Get in the car, low tire. I'm like, I just replaced the tire. Why is it telling me I have a low tire? And I look, and it has 1 pound it's registering 1 pound of air, and now the left rear tire. Keep in mind, I just replaced the right rear tire about 5 days prior. So I'm like, are you kidding me? So yeah, so apparently I'm pretty lucky that I haven't died like twice in the last month, because if that tire would have gone, I probably would have been dead. And then of course there's the whole teeth thing that apparently the dentist was surprised I wasn't either dead or in the hospital. So I really need to stop toying with death, apparently. Just saying.
I mean, that's pretty crazy.
Well, I mean,
actually,
to be fair, I drive like 1,000 miles a week because I drive like forever to get to work. I keep trying to find a position closer to my house because, I work for a group that's located in Norman, but I actually work off their main campus. So I'm on the north side of Oklahoma City. So I'm driving about 90 miles round trip every day.
Whew.
So, yeah, interesting things happen. It usually gives me time for show prep, whatever. I, get to crank up the radio and sing like I'm a rock star, things like that. So, it's good in some ways, and I keep toying with the idea because there's a group that I could transition into that works out of a different department where I could technically work from home, but I keep thinking, if I work from home, I'm not ever sure I would really ever be any good at working from home, unless it was doing something like this. If I could get up every day and do research, write articles, do radio shows, I would do that in a heartbeat. But working for somebody else from my house, I would be a slacker. I'm just saying. I know I would.
Yeah, everybody thinks it sounds really good until they realize you have to actually be pretty motivated to do it. You have to have a space, for most types of jobs that you can do from home. Like, you really need to have a dedicated space, like in an office. And you need to sit at a desk. Don't just like lay on the couch and do your emails. Like you need it. I've known several people that thought, this is brilliant, I get to work from home and blah, blah, blah. And then it's actually been really difficult. I get to work from home a little bit when I'm not on site for events, in dealing with proposals and contracts and all of that kind of stuff. But I'm not having to do it for 8 hours a day. I get on for an hour and a half, and just whenever something's going on, that's when I'm on. I don't have to do it day in and day out, 8 hours a day. And people that have to do that, a lot of them have thought, oh, it'll be good, I'll see my kids more, or like I'll spend more time with my whatever it is. And then it's ended up being like, two of them have actually gone back to office jobs. Like they requested to be back on site because it was just too hard.
See, the only thing that has still kind of got me toying with the idea is basically the same schedule I have now, which I have an awesome schedule for the type of work I do. You can't beat the type of schedule that I have. I work 8 to 4:30 Monday through Friday. I have 10 paid holidays off and 5 weeks of vacation. So basically, I am a spoiled butthead when it comes to work, because there's I can just be like, hey, I've got 3 weeks of vacation stored up. I'm taking a mental health day tomorrow, and they can't really say anything because I have the time to cover it. Now, if I miss too many in a month, they can be like, yeah, we don't need you here anymore because you're not showing up. But at the same time, I've kind of, every other job I've had, I've either been self-employed, or even if I've had paid time off, it hasn't been 5 weeks worth. So I'm not used to, if I just need to take a day because I'm sick or whatever, I can actually stay home because I don't feel good and I still get paid. That I'm not used to. And that's one of the things that I've been trying to make people understand, from my perspective, because everybody's like, why haven't you just dove in and tried to make this work? Because you get really close all the time to the point where this could really just take off. And if you could spend more time doing it, I'm like, but you don't understand. I have a guaranteed paycheck to the point where if I want to take a couple days off here and there, as long as I schedule it, I can take a couple extra days off in a month and then put some work in on this stuff and then go back and do the day job stuff. And that's kind of what I've been doing, is I'll take a few days here and there and I'll push the wheelbarrow a little bit further. Sadly, because I've been so sick over the last few months, which I'm really, really glad I finally figured out what was causing that. Most of the time, if I try to be like, you know what, I'm just going to schedule a day off, I'm going to come home, I'm going to go to bed early, which never happens because I'm always up late doing radio or editing, and then I'm going to get up early and I'm going to tackle doing this, and this, and make sure they get done. And then I get up that morning and I drink a cup of coffee and I'm like, okay, come on, let's go. And then it's like, oh, but I really don't feel very good, so I'm just going to, I'm going to watch an hour of TV and then I'm going to work. And then it turns into, I'm going to watch 2 hours of TV and then I'm going to work. And then it turns into, I fell asleep, so now I need to get up and do some work. Oh, but I forgot about this show I have on my DVR, so... and again, this is another reason why, for me to work from home, first of all, I can't be sick. And like I said, lately I have been really, really sick, to the point where I didn't realize how bad it was until after the teeth were gone, because I can really look back and I honestly think I was probably about a week or two away from being into the hospital, to the point where I might not have come out of the hospital. That is how much different I feel now, on even just almost 2 weeks later, than I did just before I wound up having those things pulled. So this is not an ad for a dentist or anything else, but I'm telling you guys, as you get older, because I'm a guy, I admit it, I almost never go to the doctor unless something's really, really bad. I typically avoid the dentist because I hate them. When you get older, start taking care of yourself. Get your checkups. Have your teeth looked at. Make sure there's nothing weird going on, because I'm one of those guys that always grew up, as long as unless it's hanging off and needs stitches put dirt on it, keep on going. That's always been me. That almost killed me. So don't do that. Just saying. All right, so enough about my little PSA. How are you? I've been talking for like nonstop.
I'm good. I had I don't want to say... No, I'll say fun. I had a lot of fun last night as the Schneiderman story broke. I was kind of kicking his ass all up and down Twitter. But it was just too easy. It was so easy. All of us were finding old tweets of his. And for anybody that doesn't know, the Attorney General of New York resigned, and he is someone who sued Trump. He has come out as one of the the biggest male supporters of the Me Too movement, and preaches about it often, and has, been considered a real ally.
Well, hang on. I don't mean to cut you off. I'll let you get right back to it. But when he says hashtag Me Too, he meant the other side. Just saying.
Yeah. He had some really, well, let's just see here. Let's see if I can find a few of these. So it has been, and I think, I always kind of like to get the full story and be like reserve judgment a little bit. But this New Yorker piece that was written on this is so scathing, and it hardly leaves any doubt that this is absolutely who this man is. The fact that there are multiple stories corroborated, and it's also known and been checked out and vetted that these people do not know each other, and so they couldn't have, shared things to come up with a story to take him down or whatever. He has a pattern of behavior. He has a pattern of abuse. It's abusive behavior, kinds of things that he says to women. And those include, telling them they're fat, that their hair sucks, like all this kind of stuff. And these are women he's with that are like his girlfriends. And then he is a slapper. He slaps them, but it's not a slap like you think of where your fingers come across the cheek. It's a slap where it's full on across the side of the head and the ear. And 2 of them had to have medical treatment to their ears after he hit them so hard across the side of the head. He spits on them. He's choked them, all sorts of crazy stuff. And not to mention the fact that it seems like he's a raging alcoholic and has possibly a prescription drug abuse issue as well. One of the women saying that he would have her fill her Xanax prescription that she had legally, and he would confiscate half of it and then have her fill it up as many times as was legally allowed for her. It's just really sick stuff. I mean, this is not one of those things where it's like, okay, well, he's just a jerk, and he says rude things to them, and he's a total jerk. And so, but he didn't do this, or he didn't force them to do that, he has physically assaulted these women, and he has purposely psychologically abused them. And it's really gross. So, and there's detailed accounts of it. Like, he dated someone who had darker skin, and he had her call him master, and he referred to her as his slave. I mean, this is allied to women, progressive leftist Democrat, ladies and gentlemen. But it's always the Republicans that are the misogynists, right? Never their men. It's so ridiculous. I mean, this is the party of Clinton, and nothing has changed because so many of these men keep coming out. We keep finding out about them. He had tweeted at the end of last year, sexual assault survivors, what happened to you is unconscionable. We have your back, and we are fighting for you. I said what he meant was, we will backhand you and fight you, you whores, because apparently he always liked to call them that word and call them sluts and say you're my little slut and you're my whore or whatever, which is just bleh, whatever. There are just so many things. He did this one about Roe v. Wade and about how women cannot be free and equal until they get to make the own choice for their bodies, and I said, and I'll slap any bee who thinks otherwise, maybe give them a little love choke. I mean, he just, and then part of the stories with all of these women too, is that they have said, that when they turn, because some of these women were really prominent. Like, this is one of them was a pretty successful New York attorney. This isn't like he picked up call girls and then abused them. I mean, we're talking about strong, independent women with a place in society, educated, the whole nine. And they've all said that when they turned, of course, they're all Democrats and they're all activists, and that's part of what they were attracted to him for, that when they eventually confided in various friends about it, or coworkers, or who were also friends or whatever, that they were all encouraged to be quiet for the good of the Democratic Party. And that is absolutely disgusting. And I'm afraid, and I think that doesn't know any kind of party. I think that's just how it is, but that can happen in either party. But for a party that claims to have all of these goals and to be, and to champion the women's movement, it's really telling when other women told her to pipe down and to not say anything about it all, and other men in the party told her to, because he was too good of a politician, he was a rising star, and they needed him. And so politics over people, I mean, including her personal, her emotional well-being and her physical safety. It's just unbelievable, yet so believable because they're Democrats.
Yeah, it's crazy. Sorry, I'm trying not to laugh on an open mic. I happened to come across one of JD's tweets. Just what the hell? This is from New York Post. David Hogg is postponing college to push gun control. So JD quote tweeted and says, "I see this ending with him married to a nice girl named Jim on an alpaca farm in New Zealand."
JD's always funny.
Kind of funny. But anyway, so I don't know. Now, the trippiest thing about this revelation from last night for me was a tweet that President Donald Trump made, I believe in 2013, where he basically compared this guy to Wiener and a bunch of other people that had just been ousted and basically said, who's next? This guy, because he's worse than the rest of them. And then everybody else is bringing that up going, Judy said this 3 years ago. I got to admit, that one really kind of tripped me. I guess it was I think it was 2016, maybe. I don't know. I know it was either 2016 or 2015.
It's a couple of years ago or something.
But anyway, it was far enough back that it was trippy as hell. I'm just saying.
It was far, but I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was 2013. Anyways. But think about it. At that time, he is still floating around in these circles, in these social circles, and he absolutely would be rubbing elbows with the likes of people like Schneiderman and being at the same parties. And people are going to talk. They're going to hear things. And a bunch of the feminists, Twitterati got on and was like, men need to shut up and y'all need to listen, and we're the ones that, and this is what happens, this is white male privilege, all of this stuff, right? But but repeatedly a bunch of them were like, I don't care what your comments are, I don't care that you're horrified, you don't get to be horrified, and all of you need to shut up. And there were so many blue checks out there, women out there saying that all men needed to shut up on this. So I'm like, give me a freaking break. The only people who should be told to shut up right now are those who knew and did nothing, and those who asked these women to put politics over their well-being. I mean, to protect an abuser for the good of the Democratic Party is psychotic. So, but they've done it before. They've done it forever. They don't know how to not do it. I mean, there's some pretty decent evidence that JFK was in some ways an abuser. I mean, Clinton, obviously. There have been other ones throughout. I'm sorry. I just have a hard time not believing that this is who they are. It truly is who they are. And it's so gross. And to tell men of any political stripe that are disgusted by this and horrified and feel awful for the women to shut up and sit down is while also kind of making excuses for the people. There were a lot of them that made excuses for the people that told them to keep quiet for the good of the Democrats. They're like, well, you have to understand it put them in a bad position. No, I don't have to understand a damn thing. The only people we should be telling to shut up are those people. The people that were involved, who knew, who were confided in about it, and let this man continue to hurt women for the next, however many years. And I have a feeling a whole lot more people than they want us to know about knew this was going on, did nothing. He, made such bold statements about Harvey Weinstein and all of that. And this is, fairly equivalent.
So we have a question in from the chat. Al wants to know if, actually Al's question is, I wonder if he ever yelled no wire hangers during his role play sessions.
Oh, yowzas.
Wow. So, I mean, just to play devil's advocate for a moment, some of the stuff that is being described that happened with these women sounds like it was taken directly from the pages or the scenes from 50 Shades of Grey. So I don't know if maybe it started as consensual and then he got weird, or if they just felt like they had to go along.
Except for that, a bunch of these. There are women that want to engage in that kind of play, but all of these women maintain that, especially after the first time he hit them or spit on them, that they protested, and he basically told them, you know, a lot of women think they don't like this, and they do. You'll learn to like it, kind of crap. Wow. It's very, very manipulative, very abusive, saying like, don't worry. Like, and by the way, if you don't like it, then you're not cool. Right? Like you're not progressive in bed. Like you're not hip to what's like cool sexually. So there was that kind of thing. And then also at one point, one of them kind of fought back to him when he was putting his hands on her, and because she did not want to engage in that. And she fought back, and he said, you know that striking an officer of the law is a felony. He threatened her with charging her with a felony for fighting back after he had already walloped her up the side of the head. And then there's another time where someone said, one of the women claims that they said they were going to get, that they could get law enforcement involved. And he said, I am the law. Like, what are you going to do? I am the law. So he is absolutely just an abusive POS.
So you're saying he busted out Judge Dredd? I am the law. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, totally.
Wow. Yeah, see, I honestly have to admit, I didn't really pay that much attention. I was having too much fun watching everybody kind of melt down over it. And then the Trump tweet kind of caught my attention. And then I decided, because, day job's been crazy lately. It's the end of one of our busiest times of year because we have been slammed basically since January 1st. So we're winding down through one of our toughest times of the year. So things should start returning to normal for me at some point, probably around June 1st. However, right now everything's been really, really crazy. So that's another reason why, even though I've been feeling better, last night I did not do a show because I was like, you know what, there's no way I'm going to be able to stay conscious long enough to do one. We got a late start on this one. I'm going to do my best to do a show coming up after this one. But at this point, I'm not necessarily going to make any promises because the other thing that's kicking my butt right now, yeah, I know, it's a broken record. But even though I'm not sick anymore, now my allergies have decided to rear their ugly head. And I'm still waiting for the medicine that I have to take for those to finally do something, which is another reason why I may sound a little bit different than usual because my nose is really, really stopped up right now. But anyway,
well, I was going to tell anybody that wants to look into it a little bit more, the best resource is that article released in the New Yorker about him. So if you just even search the New Yorker and you search Schneiderman, it'll come up immediately. And then also Seth Mandel on Twitter did a pretty good job of breaking it down with screenshots of some of the key places that has been retweeted a lot if anybody didn't want to take the time. Because it is a long piece because it's very detailed and it seems very... they covered all their bases. This is not one of those situations where it's a bunch of anonymous sources. And he said, there are medical records. There are records that put people in certain places at certain times. They have shared pictures, which are not in the article, but will be used, if there are court proceedings at all. And anyways, it's extensive, and some parts of it are hard to get through because it can be a little graphic. But I just suggest if anyone has any doubts about it, or if they are confused to what a monster and a psycho this guy really is, go read that piece because it's many women saying the same thing or similar things that he did to them, and several of them were willing to put their name out on record, and they're stepping forward.
Yeah, actually at this point I didn't realize we were already at the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, we're probably going to change topics because there's something else that's never really happened in U.S. history before. And we'll talk about that when we get back. And this, for once, this is not a good thing. So, to most people, at least it shouldn't be. We'll talk about it more specifically when we get back, though, because, this is what's called a tease, so I'm not going to give you too much. We'll be right back. Got to pay some bills. Stay tuned.
Flexibility he needed while he...
Speaking of paying bills, guess it helps if I hit the right button. Let's try that again, shall we? This is why you shouldn't do radio at late at night when you're tired.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. you'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
All right, folks, welcome back. This is JandR. We're live right now on KLRNradio.com, where liberty and reason still reign. We've been talking mostly tonight about the crazy New York Attorney General, who basically, I have to say one thing, that set land speed records for how quickly that dude was gone. There was 3 hours from scandal to resignation. I think that's the fastest I've ever seen that happen. So obviously he knew there was something there. Now, changing gears, because I want to talk about this, so at least for a second. Now, of course, everybody knows that today was the day that Donald Trump kept one of his promises and basically scuttled the Iran nuclear deal, because without us being involved in it, it probably won't last that much longer. What a lot of folks aren't really talking about, though, is the fact that pretty much from the second he scuttled that deal, a former president, one Barack Obama, took to social media and started chastising the current president and saying that what he was doing was a terrible mistake. This has never happened in our history. The closest equivalent is Jimmy Carter, who years later was saying things in both negative and positive lights of predecessors that were 2 and 3 administrations removed from his administration. But we have never, ever, that I can find, had a sitting president being rebuked by his immediate predecessor in open public forum. Barack Obama blamed everything on George W. Bush for 8 years. George W. Bush never said a word. Barack Obama has not stopped talking poorly about Donald Trump since he left office. Look, whether you like Donald Trump or you don't like Donald Trump, the issue with me about this is there's a thing called decorum. There are unwritten policies, if you will, as to how a former president is supposed to treat a current president, at least and especially if it is the president that immediately follows your particular administration. That has been case in point for pretty much as long as the office has existed, and Barack Obama is basically just, I'm smarter than this guy, and I'm going to tell everybody what I think. Now, if you want to take tinfoil hat a little further, this kind of leads credence to me to the idea that everybody talks about the reason why he stayed in D.C. is because he's still got most of his cabinet with him, and they're quietly trying to do things behind the scenes. What leads to that idea a little more is the fact that John Kerry was secretly trying to save the Iran deal while Donald Trump was talking about trying to scuttle it. Now, the reason I bring this up is I seem to remember a certain appointee of Donald Trump's being accused of violating the Logan Act. However, he was actually a pending appointee to a position. So John Kerry right now has no public position, and yet he was negotiating with a foreign power. You want to talk about Logan Act? Let's talk about Logan Act.
Yeah. Well, they will never see it that way because they can do what they want. But I think that this is important, though, on the front of just kind of like tradition and respecting the office, being a former president. I mean, this was kind of a standard that George Washington set, right? I mean, this kind of comes from the very beginning. People wanted him to comment on the Adams presidency after Washington decided to leave office. He was not outvoted. He did not have a term limit. He decided to leave, and he refused to comment on the Adams administration. He said it was inappropriate and it was not his place to do so, and that he would pray for the great leaders of our country to do what was right. And so he kind of set the example right there, and it's just kind of a time-honored tradition, and I think it's a good one because obviously these men have a vast amount of knowledge that the public does not have. They kind of share They have a shared experience, and they're in this super elite club together, and it's kind of a fraternity of sorts that, like you said, kind of some unspoken rules. And I think that's kind of important for it to be that way, because otherwise, they could just take it so far and they could really destroy people and they could really hurt this country in the process. I think Obama is just so arrogant and he's so smug that, and he's so narcissistic. He just cannot stand not to say something, and he has watched his legacy be dismantled, and he can't stand it. He just can't stand it. He cannot stand to keep his mouth shut because he thinks that he is right, and that he is righteous, and that everything that he did was truly for the better of this country, in the country that the America he sees fit, and he just can't let that go. And sorry, bud, but here we are, and your whole presidency has pretty much been undermined by this president. And you know what? For good reason, because so much of it was done through the president's actions and not through Congress. And that's part of the problem. It's part of what all of us had a problem with the majority of his 8 years, was all of these measures and all these executive orders. So, if he wanted more of a legacy, he should have implemented something that was, especially on the Iran deal, he should have implemented something that was actually voted on as a proper treaty through Congress.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Nobody talks about the fact that he lied about what was in this thing. He refused to submit it to the Senate so it could be ratified as an actual treaty. So he has nobody to blame for himself right now but himself for the fact that this was undone. Because almost everything that he's done, he did incorrectly. That's like, I just saw Jim Acosta tweeting about DACA and all the other things that have been undone under President Trump. I'm looking at that tweet going, everything you listed deserved to be undone because it was all done outside of our processes. It was something that didn't need to be done in the first place. And
if it had gone through the proper channels, then it would be more difficult to dismantle, which is what we're seeing with Obamacare, right? It's more difficult to dismantle if it goes through the correct avenues. He knew most of these things could not pass, the muster. And so he went about it, and he wanted it how he wanted it when he wanted it, and damn it, he made it happen because he's president, didn't you know?
And the funny thing is, going back to the DACA thing, I remember in 2009-ish, 2010-ish, when President Barack Obama said he couldn't make immigration reform with a pen because that would be unconstitutional, and then did it right as he was on his way out of office with his pen.
That was his mic drop. Peace out.
Just a flashback. Saturday Night Live took him to task for this, to the point where they redid the old skit about, the Schoolhouse Rock thing turning a bill into a law. And I remember it's honestly one of the first times in probably 30, 40 years that I actually thought Saturday Night Live was funny again. Because they were basically kind of going through it. It was this big thing where they had live actors doing it. And then the dude that was playing the bill comes out. And then Barack Obama comes out and says, that's the old way we get things done. Now we just do them with a pen and a phone. And it was actually just really funny. But at the same time, when Saturday Night Live takes a sitting Democratic president and rakes them over the coals, that's when even they're saying you went too far. But then, and the funniest thing is, if you go back to the Democrats in late 80s, early 90s, even late 90s, you can see folks like Senator Feinstein talking remarkably like a Republican when it comes to illegal aliens. You can see the same thing from Jurassic-era Barbie, talking about how illegal aliens were hurting California and they needed to fix this and they needed to do that. Now here we are 30, 40 years later, and they're like, no, let everybody come over. I just saw a thing right before we went on the air that says Chelsea, whatever the hell its name is, has decided that if she runs for Senate, or if she's running for Senate, she's running for Senate, and going to support open borders, that she doesn't feel any country in the world should have borders.
Is this Manning?
Actually, I'm not 100% sure. It was either I saw it was either Manning or Handler, and I can't honestly remember. That's why I've been kind of going. I'm trying to remember exactly who it was.
But because I think Manning has said that before, so it wouldn't surprise me if it was Chelsea Manning. But it's all so crazy. I did want to say I thought that Ben Sass had a really good response. He just issued a really short statement today and said, "The Iran deal has always been terrible. Today is a reminder that if you live by the presidency, you die by the presidency. We ought to be clear about this. Donald Trump isn't ripping up a treaty. He's walking away from Barack Obama's personal pledge. 2.5 years ago, President Obama made a bad deal with Iran without support from Congress. And today, President Trump is pulling out of President Obama's personal commitment, and he doesn't need Congress's support to do so. American foreign policy makes lasting progress when it is led by the president, approved by Congress, and presented honestly to the American people." The end. Perfect.
And, of course, the shrieking Kenkel had to weigh in. "As Secretary of State, I helped negotiate the crippling international sanctions that brought Iran to the table. It would be much harder a second time now that our credibility has been shot." And of course, she goes on and on and on and on. My response: your boss killed our credibility, and now we're trying to get it back. Go make Billy Boy a sandwich.
Yeah, she needs to sit down.
She's another one that just
maybe lay down. She just needs to lay down.
If she doesn't sit down soon, she's probably going to fall down anyway.
That's what I mean. She just needs to lay down and take a good little rest, and just STFU.
Pretty much. Oh, so anything else you want to talk about? We're kind of getting into the waning moments here.
No, well, still on the Iran deal for 1 second. The other thing is that, so out of, AP reports that out of Tehran today announced this evening that Iran's president says if negotiations fail, Islamic Republic will enrich uranium more than before in the next weeks. Okay, so I'm sorry, this was supposed to limit them, but now all of a sudden they were just weeks away from developing more than ever. One of our mutual Twitter friends, Daniel Tobin, says the Iran deal was working so well that Iran can just whip up some nuclear fun in a couple of weeks.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you'd mentioned you wanted to read some tweets. So go ahead. That
one to me was so funny. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so true though. They're like, this deal was working. It's such a mistake to get out of it. Da 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 da. And then, wait, what? I'm sorry, what? In a couple weeks, you're just going to do it? The only other thing I want to touch on real quick is talking about the confirmation vote of Gina Haspel. It has been announced that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, principal architect of September 11th attacks, was tortured by the CIA. And this week, he asked a judge at Guantanamo Bay for permission to share 6 paragraphs of information, Ari Haspel, before her confirmation vote. Are you out of your freaking mind? Letting a terrorist who killed thousands of Americans in the worst attack on U.S. soil have any say in anything. I don't care what it is. I don't care what happened. Anything regarding this country is positively, certifiably insane. He should not be given a moment's consideration and no platform whatsoever. He is a murderous terrorist and can rot in hell. I mean, this is absolutely absurd, and I see a bunch of Democrats supporting this because of course they do, because politics. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've seen some, not to this extent, but I've seen some crazy things being supported on our side now because the person that they're coming out in favor of has an R behind their name. It's not like it's not endemic to both sides, but just the ease with which their side just throws everything out the window, all for the sake of just, everything.
I guess my main thing here, though, is that for anyone who is even remotely mentally stable to think it's okay to let the architect of 9/11 speak on anything is nuts to me. Like, that is totally different than, like, you know, some of the other issues that have happened that people have defended on both sides. This is a freaking terrorist who created and carried out the deadliest attack on American soil. Like, that, to even think that you should support him and go, no, we need to hear what he has to say because we hate this woman who's a Republican, is just so beyond partisanship. I mean, it's kind of evil. It's pretty hateful.
Well, no, and what I was about to say was I'll take it a step further. I'm not curious as to why this guy's being allowed to communicate with anybody. I'm curious as to why they're at least still breathing. That's just me.
Which is what, you know, a lot of people said, like, I'm sorry, why did he survive? You know, I mean, which kind of proves the point that, like, I guess if it was so awful and everything, they wouldn't have let him survive. So, I don't know. But I hope that this judge says hell no.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath on that. Although, actually, I do want to bring up one other thing. It's a good thing we started late because I have an excuse to run a few minutes over. So Mueller got bitch slapped this week. I don't know if you'd seen that or not yet.
Yes, I saw a little bit about it.
So apparently he was in front of a judge this week and the judge basically said he felt like the special prosecutor was completely overstepping his authority and had no idea why they were even there. I found that rather humorous, to be quite honest.
No, it definitely was. It's always kind of nice when those that are being kind of pompous and arrogant get put down a little bit. They get put in their place.
And I mean, I know, guys. I mean, I hear this all the time. But Rick, it took them years to get Nixon. That was not in the information age. This has been going on in what the equivalent of would be 10 years of information gathering in Nixon era, and they still have nothing. Less than nothing.
and they keep changing directive, and they keep changing targets, and they keep when something's a dead end somewhere, then they're like, oh, what we're really looking at is this. You know, I mean, it's like a never ending witch hunt. Unfortunately, I think that they're going to try to never stop.
And that's honestly one of the reasons why I've been opposed to a special prosecutor ever since. And I've told everybody this from day one. You got to realize special prosecutors that was eventually how they got to Clinton. And the special prosecutor didn't get to Clinton the way everybody expected them to get to Clinton. They got to him over getting his humidor puffed on a bit in the Oval Office. That's a problem.
This humidor puffed on.
Sorry. It was actually a mixed metaphor because the humidor is actually the container, but still.
I know, but that was so funny. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm good.
See, that makes me feel good when I can get you to legitimately laugh like that. So I'm okay with that.
Oh my gosh. And then you just kept talking, and then all of a sudden it really registered in my brain, and I was like, wait a second. That's awesome. I like it.
All right. So anything else you want to add on the way out?
Nope. I think I'm good. So come follow me on Twitter at JHomestead, Facebook JR Homestead, which I'm terrible about being on, and I need to fix that. And then check out misfitspolitics.com.
What's going on with them tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night's the gift challenge, so
I know
for about an hour. It's at 8:30 Eastern. Be there or be square.
All right, folks, and sadly, I'm feeling my voice kind of start going more and more, so I'm going to rest the pipes one more night. I promise we will get at least 2 in the books this week, and I may actually do a late night off the rails after we're done with Dan to make up for the one that I'm skipping tonight, but I don't have a voice to talk for an hour by myself. So we will be back with you tomorrow night. I promise there will be live radio for the rest of the week. As far as I know, Jen and I are playing on Thursday. I'll be back tomorrow night, and then I'll do a double shot Thursday, plus maybe even a double shot on Friday, depending on how I feel. I just don't have the voice to keep going, and the cough's starting to come back in. So we will see you guys when we see you. Take care. God bless. For those of you expecting to see hear off the rails tonight, not see. Nobody wants to see this face. Trust me, I got to hear about that all day on Twitter because apparently I'm a fat guy. I'm like, I don't care. I know I'm fat. I still have my own picture up. What do you got? Anyway, we're out, folks. Take care. God bless.